Good morning, boys and girls. Today we'll be working on Unit 6, Lesson 6 for Language Arts. And today we are going to read and sort words with the C spelling by their sound. We are also going to read and sort words with different spellings for the S sound. We're going to ask and answer questions about key details in the story Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. So let's get started with your new spelling words for this week. This week, your spelling words are going to have those tricky spellings for the S sound and the Z sounds. Let's take a look. So we have one word with the S sound spelled with the letter S, and that word is sun. We have one word spelled with the double S that makes the S sound, kiss. We have the tricky S sound because it's spelled with the letter C. This word is scent. We have the S sound spelled with the letters CE in the word prince. And you have a tricky word here. You also have three words with the Z sound spelled three different ways. First word with the Z sound is zip, spelled with just the one letter Z. Your next word is jazz. Now this one has two Z's at the end. And last but not least, you also have the word pigs. Now this is tricky because at the end of the word pigs, you hear the Z sound, but it's spelled with the letter S. So within Class Kick, you're going to be seeing worksheet 6.1, and that's your spelling list. So you can go ahead and pause at any time to go and log on Class Kick and read and write your spelling words. But before you do, I would recommend just looking at these next few slides because I want to go over worksheet 6.2, which is going to be asking you to work on the tricky spelling C. So for this worksheet, you're going to see some words with the letter C that make the K sound, and other words with the letter C that make the S sound. Now instead of doing them in two different colors here, you'll see the directions in Class Kick. You're going to be just circling and underlining those tricky letter C words for the K and S sounds. You're also going to see worksheet 6.3, and on this worksheet you're going to be sorting the different spellings for the S sound. So you'll see some words with the S sound spelled with the letter C, like scent. You'll see other words with the S sound spelled with the letters CE, like prince. And then you'll see other words with the S sound spelled with the letters SE, like the word rinse, for example. So now would probably be a good time to go ahead and pause and go complete those worksheets on Class Kick. And if you've already done those worksheets, we're ready to get started with our story, Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. Okay, so today we're starting a new reader, and it's about a girl named Grace. So when I say our new reader, that's just like we had the book The Green Fern Zoo. That was our reader for Unit 5. We had, do we have Kit this year? So our readers are those small books that we read in class. And since we're not in class, we're going to be reading them online. But when we talk about Grace, that's our new book that we're reading. Okay, now in her name, Grace, the C spelling makes the S sound. Grace, Grace. And this A and the E work together to make the A sound, the long A, with that bossy E or that magic E. So I wouldn't say this word G or k. No, it's Grace, Grace. So Grace is the main character in the story, and she lives on a farm. And she's going to take you on adventures to her farm throughout the country. The Grace reader, or the stories about Grace, they're all fictional stories with characters, settings, and plots. So the setting for a story is where the story takes place. And for many of the stories in this reader, the setting is on the farm where Grace lives. So do you remember something that you learned about farms back in kindergarten? One thing that comes to mind for me is that farms are usually located in the country, far away from cities. Let's look at the cover of this book. So this is just a little drawing, but let me show you what the cover looks like. Here it is. So we have the title here, Grace, and again, it's our Unit 6 reader. It's the stories that we're going to be reading for Unit 6. So who do you think this person on the cover is? It's Grace. That's who this book is about. Let's look at the table of contents. So the first story that I see is Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. Next, The Picnic by the River. Ants, The Band, The Yard Sale, The Storm, Dark Clouds and Wind, In the Storm Shelter, The Visit, The Soccer Game, Supper, and Grace the Performer. So all of these stories, these are all stories about Grace's adventures on or near the farm where she lives. Before we read, let's take a look at some of the spellings we're going to come across. Now, I just want to take a moment to look at these words over here. These are the two-syllable words, and you'll notice that there's not a dot between them. So from now on, there won't be a dot between two-syllable words. Just remember that as you're reading. So starting with our words spelled with the letter C that make the that make the S sound: Grace, Spencer, nice, raced. We have some more words that make the S sound, but these words are spelled with the C-E spelling: fence, force. These words make the have the S sound in them, but they're spelled with the S-E spelling: farmhouse, else. We have some words spelled with the two letters A-R. Do you remember what sound that makes? Like in the word farm, garden, and harvest. And here are those two-syllable words. Again, there's no dot between them: eggplants, problems, and hornet. Here are some vocabulary words that you're going to come across in your story today. You're going to see this word harvest. And to harvest is to pick plants that are ready to be eaten or sold at a market. So you can see that these men here are harvesting their, maybe it's lemon. I'm not sure what they're harvesting, but they're harvesting some sort of fruit or vegetable that's ready to be eaten and sold. You're going to read this word, ripe. And if a fruit is ripe, that means it's ready to be eaten, like these bananas. They're ready, they're ripe. You're going to come across this phrase, mad as a hornet. If someone is mad as a hornet, they are very angry. And last but not least, you're going to read this word, Midwest. Now the Midwest is a flat region, and it's in the middle of the United States, and this is an area where crops are grown. So you can see some of that region highlighted right here, and some of those states include Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Ohio, Wisconsin. So the Midwest is over here. We live all the way over here, so we're not very close to the Midwest. Okay, now it's time for us to go ahead and get started and read to learn more about how Grace's dad solves a problem he has with some rabbits. After you're all finished, you're going to complete worksheet 6.4 within Class Kick.